Internet. Welcome to the only podcast about movies, year in review of reviews of the year. My name is Matthew Kroll.
And my name is Dowd Shahir. Dowd Shahir.
Listen, I name the things and yell a bunch, and you're the one that has all of the movie info.
I'm so meta. I'm like reading what you're saying and turning it into a thing.
Right. Well, normally we'd quote something, but I didn't feel like quoting ourselves. This is the only podcast about the only podcast about movies. This is our year in review of our reviews, so to speak.
It's kind of like we're going Malkovich on ourselves.
Right. Of course. Well, no, I mean, we wanted to do this sort of little extra bonus episode, kind of as a weird sort of two reasons. One, as an exercise in masturbation of metaphysical masturbation.
We all know how much we love that.
Right. But two, to thank you guys for a wonderful sort of first year. It's been not a year, but like
just under a year.
Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to us rant about what we like and what we don't like, and we like you listening to us liking us things and stuff.
What's been cool is seeing the amount of listeners rise. Like when we first started out, we had like 20 people listening, then we had like 30 and 40, and it's starting to slowly pick up. So we wanted to say thank you to the people who've been writing in emails, who've been listening to us consistently. At the end of this episode, towards the end, after we get through our top 10 list, we want to read out some of the emails we've been getting. We've kind of collected a little backlog of emails that we want to get to.
We have.
And so, yeah, again, want to thank everyone that we start. Why did we start this podcast, Matt?
I mean, we started it because we love bitching about shit.
No? Also because there were no other podcasts.
I mean, well, that is true. Shahir, you have hit the nail on the head. We saw an opening. We saw...
and we took it.
We saw a need for a product because since no one talks about films after, other than maybe like when you're walking out of the theater and you're like, oh, did you like that? Yeah, that's pretty cool. No one's talking about it. So, and we have this the series of tubes known as the internet that we can deliver the only podcast about it. I mean, there's podcasts about everything, and for some reason, this was just a hole that was left.
Yeah.
And what would we do with a hole if not fill it, Shahir?
Oh, God. Yeah, you took it. I was going to make that joke, but no, you took it.
I beat you to it.
Yeah, so again, stay tuned for people who've emailed us in. We're going to read out a few of those emails, and keep emailing us in. Remember, you can reach us at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com, our Twitter handle at onlymoviepod, and we have a Facebook page as well.
Excellent. Now, let me just lay out the format of sort of what we're going to be doing. Shahir and I have made independent lists of the top 10 films of the year that we've reviewed.
So these aren't the top 10 movies of the year.
It is only in the trough of the 22
films
that we've done. And I just want to point out that I thought when Shahir pitched this to me, it was going to be we want to review our top 10 reviews that we did. And that is a separate list about things I like, but I can talk about that.
Wait, you did
later.
what?
Don't worry about it. Everything's fine.
Oh my God, I feel so uncomfortable.
No, so we're going to do
now.
a top 10 movies that we reviewed in order. We're going to go 10, 10, 9, 9, 8, 8. And we're going to discuss them a little bit and what we liked and what we didn't like. And then we're going to get into a couple sort of reviews each. I think we prepared 3 each of sort of our little extra reviews, like 2 minutes on films that we didn't get to this year that we think deserve some sort of recognition. Then we're going to talk about some trends we noticed in 2015, which I think are very present and very important to sort of look back at who we were as a movie-going year. And then we're going to talk about what we're looking forward to in 2016, followed by emails and probably thanking you again.
Oh, thanking me again?
No, thanking the listeners again.
Oh, I'm so up my own ass right now. But Matt, aside from thanking our listeners, I want to thank you for putting up with my bullshit, for being here to record this podcast, for listening to my anti-Star Wars, anti-fun rants for a whole year, and not only like putting up with it, but coming back for more. Dear listener, and you should know this, he bought me one of the best Christmas presents. When I showed it to my wife, she said, that's it, Matt Kroll has won Christmas. He bought me a lovely little mug, which says the only podcast about movies. It's got a little logo on it, and underneath it says, Shahir. No, I hate fun,
quotes,
Shahir Dowd, which is, I want to point out, something I've never said.
Okay, first of all...
Except in reference to the fact that you've said it.
Thank you. Although you have said, well, you know I hate fun. You have said that. No, it has been a pleasure, sir, and it has been... Listen, we can't all like fun. Let's be very clear. And if we both just liked fun, I don't think would be too interesting to listen to.
This might be the only fun I like is doing this podcast.
Oh, buddy, you're making the goth kid blush, the ex-goth kid. I'm not goth anymore. Wow, I'm old. But no, it's been really fun, and I'm glad we get to do this little retrospective about the movies and just sort of things that we've been doing. So yeah, we'll
with that, I mean, if it's now, some of these movies that we've reviewed are like they're on DVD now, they're on Blu-ray, they're on iTunes. So if you want to go back through the archive of 1 year of 22 films that we did this year, here's your chance for what we think is the most interesting things we saw and talked about.
So why don't we just jump right in, man? Let's start. I want to hear your 10th movie of the year out of the 22 that we've reviewed.
Wow, we did so many. And number 10, and what'll be interesting is to compare what I liked versus what you liked.
Oh, yes. I think that's the basis of this whole show. So let's just, let's go.
It's interesting because we've only got 22 here. And because I hate fun, a fair few of these were films I didn't enjoy. Well, the remaining films on this list. And this is one that I didn't enjoy, but I actually thought was quite a good movie. To come in at number 10 was The Big Short.
Really?
Yeah, Big Short was on my number 10. It cracked my number 10 list.
Why is that?
I just think it was, well, again, there's the pool of films we had to pick from meant that The Big Short is much better than Entourage and Jurassic Park and Mission Impossible 5, for example. But I do, the subject matter of The Big Short still compels me. And I think what an interesting thing that we're going to be doing right now is thinking about which films have sat with us over the course of this year.
Oh, is that what we're supposed to do?
Well, as a thought.
No, I mean, it's a good thought.
I think that, for me, when I was writing this list, that was what I thought about was the films that maybe I didn't even like them at the time, but which ones sat with me?
That's fair.
Which ones kind of stay with me? And The Big Short, I think as we get into the next election, I think even Bernie Sanders was asked the question at a rally this week, have you seen The Big Short? And he said, yes. He said, damn right I have.
Oh, wow.
Something along those lines. I think the topic of The Big Short will come up often and will be talked about a lot. One film when we did The Big Short that I forgot to mention that I think is actually a better film than The Big Short is Margin Call. I don't know why we didn't mention Margin Call, but
I know why I didn't, because I've never heard of it.
Oh, really? It's a really good film about that, about the failure of the housing market, but it's told from the perspective of being inside the banks.
Gotcha.
And the bank, basically, analysts inside the banks are going, holy shit, this whole thing's going to fall apart and we're about to lose up. And it's like the day before it all starts.
Right.
Lehman Brothers starts falling apart. It's by J.C. Chandor, who did A Most Violent Year and All Is Lost.
Ooh.
So
right.
it's a great. I love it. I think I like it more than A Big Short.
You've piqued my interest, sir.
Yeah.
It's funny that you make that your top one, your number 10, because I would put that definitely in the middle to high range if we were reviewing our reviews, because our review of it, I thought, and this is so funny because I'm going to now talk about the review we did of a movie that's topic matter is better than the actual film about it.
Yeah.
So I'm triple meta-ing at this point, but we got into some crazy shit, even down to what altruism is during that whole thing.
It was a good conversation.
I enjoyed that conversation. But my number 10 movie that I saw this year was I imagine might be a little higher on your list, was Mission Impossible 5 Rogue Nation.
Didn't crack my list.
No,
didn't crack my list.
Wow.
But I think
you always talk so high of Mission Impossible 5 Rogue Nation.
Yeah.
I mean, not really. I mean, I figured it'd at least be 10 or 9 on yours.
I have thought about the scene inside the opera house a little more,
cool.
and how much I did kind of enjoy that scene, and how much when I think about that scene a bit more, I kind of remember it fondly.
I really like it because, and I think it's a good number 10 of 10, because I think it takes the formula that we've seen, and a formula that is not new, but takes it and it doesn't do new interesting things. It just sort of takes it and really hones it down to we're used to this, we're comfortable with this, but this is an action movie executed on a very high level in a format that we're comfortable with. And there was the woman, I can never remember her name, the actress.
The actress that was in it that stole the show.
She's really good. She's wonderful. And she always sort of resonated with me. And it was just sort of nice to see a Mission Impossible again that's done very, very, very cleanly and well. Not that the other ones were bad, but like it was just they've just refined and refined and refined. And
Rebecca Ferguson was her name.
Thank you very much.
I'm still, it still doesn't hit the high watermark of Mission Impossible 3 for me.
I know.
So,
Few things can. And it was also nice, again, going back to the meta on meta action. It was nice to have our significant others sort of in the room.
Yeah, I
like the female perspective of the actual seeing the film. But that's just
oddly, that review was one of our most popularly downloaded episodes.
Well,
and I think it might have to do with having our significant others in the room.
Well, either way, I think that means that so far I'm winning this list if it's a competition.
Really?
Because if you didn't mark it and I marked it on the list, then and the people liked it, I guess I'm winning the people. Let's move on to number 9 and see if you can take this fight back.
You're going to be surprised by my number. You're going to be surprised by a couple of things on my list.
Okay.
My number 9 is The Force Awakens.
Okay. No, that doesn't surprise me.
That doesn't surprise you?
No, because I think this is me reviewing how I think you reviewed it.
Yeah.
I think the exercise that we did, and by the way, for my list, I don't know if you did this. I excluded our six Star Wars podcasts.
Oh, spoiler alert! I don't know if I did.
Because no, it's okay if you didn't. I just felt like those were so great, but they were kind of a standalone thing.
Yeah.
But as far as the movies are concerned, because I want to stick with this year or whatever, I think that us doing the 6 films got you in a headspace to sort of like some might call it conditioning, to
Little
enjoy
Pavlov's dog.
to enjoy the Star Wars universe more than you had. And I think it's a great movie. I think that's a good sort of spot for it.
Yeah.
Especially I just think it's no matter if you sort of are a Star Wars fanboy or you're just going to the movies for kind of a good time, it's a really fun time at the movie. Like it's a popcorn movie. It's an original, like it's the original story, meaning it's not original.
Yeah.
But like it's fun.
It's funny because a lot of the emails we're going to talk about are about The Force Awakens, and a lot of those emails are about how much I dislike the film. And I think while I, like if we were doing a top 10 of the year, it wouldn't crack my top 10 probably at all.
Right. But you're limited to what we
limited to what we have. But I didn't hate the experience of being in the film. I just didn't. And I think
a glowing review. I didn't hate the experience of being in the film. Shahir Dowd, put that on the DVD
poster,
box.
yeah.
Put it on the box.
Listen, J.J. Abrams, I'm telling you now, you will sell at least 1/2 more DVDs if you put that on the cover.
Ridiculous.
But I didn't hate the movie, and I think when you compare it to some of the other movies we reviewed this year,
You're just dropping so many pull quotes, I can't take it.
like Entourage, like Jurassic World, like Mission Impossible 5, like those films are a little bit more forgettable for me. And this one thing I do love and I do miss is like the big movie experiences. And this was like a big movie experience. It was a big cultural touchstone.
Yeah. Well, my number 9 might shock you, my friend. No, you know what? This makes perfect sense. My number 9, in conjunction with yours, is a pigeon sat on a branch and contemplates existence.
I think they're in perfectly inverse.
They are perfectly yin and yang.
I bet you'll find. I'll find a Force Awakens at the exact opposite position on your list,
Maybe.
and you'll find a pigeon at the exact opposite position.
No, you dragged me to this art film by a very creative director.
Yeah.
What was his name again? Because I'm horrible with names.
Roy Anderson.
Yeah. He made this living diorama that, while is not my normal cup of tea when it comes to film going, it was super interesting. I think it ran a little long, but that's not to say it wasn't something special in its own right that I wasn't used to. And it just sort of, I don't know, it was nice to see something different in a summer of all of the movies that I normally go see. So I appreciated that you dragged me to it, and it was nice too. Again, reviewing the review of the review. It was nice to sort of have that right outside the theater moment we did with some of the
people we knew there. Yeah. And I'm hoping that will be something we'll try to do a little bit more. It's been towards the end of this year, it's been harder for us to get to the movies.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that we will do those segments a little bit more where we record people outside the movie to get initial reactions. A pigeon, I'll talk about it a little bit later.
What's your number 8 then?
My number now. This is probably breaking the rules a little bit, but I've got a tie at number 8.
Jesus Christ.
My tie for number 8 is Sicario and The Hateful Eight, which I would and the reason they're a tie is that
you know what? Okay, give me your reason, and then I'm going to call bullshit on it because a tie.
Yeah, a tie.
Go. Why?
All right. These are films by extremely talented directors, extremely talented filmmakers, and I wanted to like them. I wanted to love them, and I didn't quite. And so they were kind of somewhat disappointing for me, but they're executed with such level of art craftsmanship and such care and such love, and both films have scenes that I will remember for the rest of my life, I think. And like, for example, Sicario, I listen to the soundtrack almost, at least once a week now, and scenes from Sicario are going to sit with me for a long time. But I didn't love the film, and we talked at length about what I had problems with in the film. And it's the same with The Hateful Eight. I love Tarantino, but I don't think this is his best film. I think it's one of his weaker films, and despite that, I enjoyed being at those movies because they're such good movies. They're just not quite.
I understand.
Yeah.
All of that makes 100% sense to me. Answer me this. Which one did you like better?
I think Sicario.
Okay, then that's your number 8. That's your number 8.
But then
bump the rest down.
Well, then A Force Awakens would get dropped for The Hateful Eight. But I think.
But that's how numbering works. Which do you like better? It's Sicario. And that's fair because my number 8 is The Hateful Eight.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean.
Did you do that symbolically?
I didn't. And it's so weird that it actually is. I'm looking for it on my list, and I was like, well, I didn't even plan that. I should have. That's clever.
The 8th film by Quentin Tarantino ended up at number 8 on your list.
Again, I really enjoyed my time, and I hope it's not just because he was there.
Right.
I'm looking forward to watching it.
It makes a difference, though.
I know.
Yeah.
But he was, again, I said it in the review, and I'll say it again here. He was glowing.
Yeah.
He loved his film. He loved his cast. He loved his producers. Like, it was a really proud, like, it's very rare that you see people that you respect live super proud of something.
Right.
And I don't know if I loved the experience as more like that. I'm sure I did, and I'm sure that sort of permeates into it. But overall, if I can try to separate the film, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with sort of what you said. It's like there are moments in it of greatness.
Yeah.
And it does falter in a couple places, and we talked about some of the sort of even social issues it doesn't handle aptly.
Yeah.
But it's a really good film. I will buy it and I will watch it again. And here's how I know it's a good movie. I'm going to buy it before I watch it again.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it already has my money
Yeah.
twice. Even if I never watch that disc again, I respect it enough
to have it
actually own it in my collection.
Yeah, no, I get that. And
So, yeah.
one thing you just mentioned that made me think quickly, and I'll try to say this as succinctly as possible. But we pick. I feel like I pick on filmmakers a lot. Like I'm saying, you didn't do this right, you did this right, you didn't do this right. I do want to point out that like both Matt and I are filmmakers ourselves, and it's so hard to make a film. And I do want to point out that when we criticize films, we do it. Well, at least I hope it comes across that I do it out of love. Like when Sicario doesn't do something well, I'm still like excited that Denis Villeneuve is making a film. And like the way you were talking about Quentin Tarantino, it's still so awesome. And he's such a lover of the form that we love so much that it's, like, J.J. Abrams is another one. I didn't enjoy The Force Awakens that much, even though it made my top 10 list. But like, dude, to do what he did is amazing.
Insane.
To do what any of these people
Insane.
do is amazing, even to the point of a film that we're going to talk about in a bit. Actually, I'll come back to it.
All right. Well, number 7. What do you got?
Beasts of No Nation. Which would fall similarly in. It kind of has the same thing to me that Sicario and Hateful Eight have, which is that it's an exceptional film. I think it doesn't quite stick the landing for me in some ways, but it's such a powerfully resonant film about such an important issue, and I don't think it messes up that badly. It just doesn't quite, it's kind of weird. Like for me, filmmaking is kind of like you plant a seed and then you hope that it flourishes. And the Beast of No Nation for me doesn't quite flourish. It grows and it grows beautifully, but it doesn't quite flourish for me.
Yeah, I can see that.
So yeah, no, and it, look, Cary Fukunaga, amazing filmmaker.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. My number 7 is a little bit different. My number 7 is Anomalisa, actually. The last one we did before this one. It's something that, again, if we're talking about sticking, it definitely had moments where I think about it. Even, it's only, granted, it's the most recent film we've reviewed, but I've watched films since then, so like it's not, whatever.
It sat in your consciousness.
It sat in my consciousness. I'm a big fan of any piece of artwork in any medium that sort of gives meaning and questions mundane action, and this does it in spades. It takes a kind of unlikable protagonist, throws him in a super generic setting, makes it fantastical with a couple different things, and masterfully puts across a feeling of it puts across how you can feel something is special in an interesting way with the voice work that they do, along with the puppets and whatnot. So,
well, I think it's a great film that captures an emotion. Like it captures an emotion so well. It's great. Yeah, no, I was just watching a featurette about it. It took 3 years to make that movie.
Well, it's obvious because the craftsmanship, it's on the screen, Shahir.
Yeah, but it's amazing.
On the screen.
It's amazing. It's such a small film still.
Yeah, but I think it's better that way. I think that's going to be something that's awesome for people to find later in life.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like 5 years from now, when someone randomly comes across it, either on Netflix or however we get movies, sort of the, not huge films in the future, I think it's going to be one of those surprises that when people watch it, it might become some of their favorites. And it's nice that I like it when really great things, I mean, I love seeing great things do well, but I also like seeing great things kind of slide under, because I know people will have the same sort of like, oh my God, how did I miss this sort of quality to it. Number 6, go for it.
This is going to surprise you again. The entire Star Wars original trilogy.
Okay.
Hit my number 6. It was, I guess you could maybe you narrow it down to A New Hope.
Jesus Christ.
But I kind of like I couldn't separate A New Hope from Empire and Return of the Jedi.
I think you're confusing shock me with anger me.
because of my ability to count is starting to
No, your ability to count other than your 8th one is fine. And even grouping them all together is fine. But if we're putting fucking Star Wars
well,
in this,
I think Star Wars was a unique thing for me, because in the same way that you talked about dragging you to see a pigeon.
Sure.
Dragging me to see Star Wars was a tough ask.
Right.
And like 6 hours of Star Wars. Even to the point where
it's more than 6 hours of Star Wars before. It's 12. Think about it, because you watched the films. We talked about Star Wars for 6 hours.
Even to the point where I threatened to take Matt to Matthew Barney's new film, River of Fundament, which is 5.5 hours long.
And I said I'd begrudgingly go.
Unfortunately, Matthew Barney's film is very hard to see, because like it's in a road show and they're only showing it in a few places.
And there's no sound.
There is sound.
I thought you said there wasn't sound.
No, I was telling you a story about when I saw a Matthew Barney film in New Zealand.
I was like, I'm going to go sit for 5 hours in silence.
I could tell, it's for another time, but I could tell you another experience about that with Matthew Barney.
All right.
But listen, the thing about it was you got me to see how much fun Star Wars is. And it's weird because I still don't feel connected to that world. I feel like it's a very strange world. Like I'm thinking about stories that have like massive worlds, and like I'm much more invested in the Game of Thrones universe than I ever will be in Star Wars.
Let me ask you this. Do you think it's because the Game of Thrones universe is something you're experiencing live with the rest of the world in a sort of sense, whereas Star Wars was something that you really didn't, because it didn't pique your interest at the time?
Perhaps, but also, because, well, like if you think about another universe that existed in that time, Back to the Future, I'm much more invested in the Back to the Future universe than I am in the Star Wars universe. So I still find things like the Empire and was it Kashir, where the Wookiees are
Kashyyyk,
from?
Motherfucker.
Or like all that stuff. I just find it such a strange little thing, and I'm not attached to it.
I love how you put the 2 examples from Star Wars was the Empire and a mispronounced fucking Wookiee planet,
which isn't in the original trilogy either.
No.
But watching what it really made me want to do is I want to go see THX 1138. I think it is.
I think that's what it is.
And I really want to see American Graffiti because I think there's this interesting thing happening right now, which is there is a little bit of backlash against The Force Awakens, and the backlash has led people to George Lucas, and it's because of this interview that George Lucas has done with Charlie Rose, where he talks. He's kind of like half criticizing The Force Awakens.
He's butthurt about it.
Yeah, and it does. I have to admit, watching A Force Awakens makes me go, man, what Lucas did with A New Hope is pretty extraordinary.
This is something. I mean, yes, of course,
yeah.
but like this whole I'm getting. Here we are delivering our show on the internet. I'm going to say I'm getting sick of the internet because a lot of times there's just backlash for things, I feel like, and this is, I think, is one of the cases. Not that you can't like this film. You could not like this film.
Wait, are we talking
fine.
Star Wars or The Force Awakens?
I'm talking The Force Awakens for now, but also everything on the internet, if this sort of gets that. Okay. If you become too popular on the internet, there's going to be a group. It's like this weird checks and balances thing of like, oh my God, this thing is too beloved. Let's get some smarts, like one or two sort of smart things tearing it down, and then all of the dummies jump onto it and like, yeah, like it's this weird seesaw of popularity. You see it with films. You see it with famous people, actors, actresses, politicians, newscasters, anything, inspirational memes, like everything on the internet. If you become, it's like you either die the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the fucking villain. Yeah. Like, and it's this weird thing about, I think it's human nature, oddly enough, to tear your idols down eventually. And it sucks. And again, I'm not saying if you don't like something, you shouldn't be vocal about it. But I do feel like on both sides of a thing, when something initially comes out, a lot of people say it's good, then there's bandwagoning, and then everyone says it's good, and then there's dissenters, and then the bandwagoners switch sides. So it's this weird seesaw of popularity. And it sucks. I'm sick of it. Like, I just like what you like and don't like what you don't like, and fuck everyone else. Like, I know that's hard in a social context.
And it's hard to watch something in a vacuum these days. Like, it's hard to watch.
You can't. I didn't go on the internet until I saw Star Wars, like that when it came out, because you're worried about spoilers.
No, but it's not just spoilers. It's hard. Like, there's so much conversation. There's so much avenue for conversation now. Like, for example, you could download a podcast talking about movies.
I mean, there's only one, but you can download it.
You can do it if you wanted to.
You did it. You congratulations. You found it.
But it's hard to watch a film in a vacuum. So the conversation is so accessible, and it's kind of like watching the ocean move in a way. Like, it's impossible to avoid it, and people get swept up in trends, and it's and it swings back and forth, like you say.
I know, it's just an aspect of human nature I dislike. We need to move.
What's your number 6?
My number 6 is White God.
Oh wow, it didn't crack my top 10.
Really, yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was a hard watch for a pet lover.
Yeah.
But it did a lot of interesting things. I wish it sort of did some other things with it, such as follow the dog 100% and not keep going back to the little girl, as we said. By the way, this is a film about a dog that the father kicks out. And
go watch it. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's really strong. And it's I don't know. There's a lot sort of that harkens back, and I know it doesn't feel the same, but for some reason it might be when the dog's little buddy dog looks exactly like Flag from Umberto D, which is one of my top 5. I don't know. Yeah. There's a lot of there's things in this film that strike a chord with me on multiple levels, and it's funny, as a pet lover, as an animal lover, it's a hard watch, but at the same time it's never gratuitous in its awful, like in its violence, and it's something that it's not a feel-good pet movie, but it feels like an important sort of animal movie for some reason, even though it is ridiculous that the dogs, like an army, become organized.
I think I really wanted to love this movie, and it didn't quite, and I was kind of disappointed when I saw it, and that's that kind of riding the hype train kind of problem that you can have.
And I had no hype. I think that might be, too, a difference in our perspectives of it. This is something that you told me to watch, and I purposely, throwing it on, had no idea what it was about.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, it's about a dog?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh God. And then, so it had more of a surprise value for me than you, who had seen, you don't watch trailers and you saw that trailer.
Yeah, I know. And perhaps it should kind of, on my list, kind of sit in it would be in that, like, this is the number 8 space.
Don't you fucking take your numbers back. We just cleared
I'm not taking my numbers back, but it would be in that space of like masterful filmmaking that doesn't quite land for me.
All right. Number 5, you.
Number 5 for me, Kung Fury.
Nice.
Kung Fury. This is such an exciting thing that a half-hour short film funded on Kickstarter could make such a huge impact.
Yeah.
Um,
I just watched it recently again.
oh, really?
Yeah.
And how did it hold up?
It's so good.
Yeah.
And I showed it to my girlfriend. I showed it to Robin, and she was the thing she kept muttering happily while grinning huge was, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
And then when it ended, she's like, "Is there more? Is this a series?" And I was like, "No." She's like, "What the fuck?"
I think it's cool that it's not a feature film because I could feel myself getting
100%.
like I would get tired of the whole.
I would not want to watch it. That it's an example of a piece of media that knows where it should live.
Yeah, exactly.
And just fucking takes that for all it's worth. And that's a great feeling. It's a good move.
Yeah. And so
good look on you, Kung Fury.
Yeah, no, it was great. And like again, that thing where we talk about talking about filmmakers with love, like this is a filmmaker that I think is going to go places. Obviously, I don't know if they'll, I don't know what they'll be doing next, but obviously they have a lot of attention on them. And it's cool that a short film, because I make short films, it's cool that a short film had such a, this is the blockbuster of short films.
It really is. And it's still fucking rad as hell to watch.
Yeah.
My number 5 was something equally hyped for me, I think, is Jurassic World.
Ugh.
I know you hate it. I still don't know why. Look, if you're looking for your best time popcorn movie of the year, I would even say it's weird because I love Jurassic Park. We all love Jurassic Park.
We all love Jurassic.
If you don't, why are you listening to a movie podcast or the movie podcast?
Yeah.
But the Jurassic World is a different beast from Jurassic Park. And it does something I think that Star Wars, if I'm going for a summer blockbuster, I mean, obviously Star Wars was in December, but even if Star Wars released in the summer, I still wouldn't call Star Wars a summer blockbuster. Star Wars to me is a weird continuous event thing.
Right.
They're different. I would like to at least think a little bit while at Star Wars, and you do. It's evident about how people think
Please
about.
don't tell me you're thinking during Jurassic Park.
No, this is my point. This is my point.
Yeah.
With Star Wars, you think about the entire world of it, and you like, oh, what's fucking Grand Moff Tarkin doing, and who the Dengar's over here, whoever the fuck, right?
Yeah.
But like. It's the whole reason why Boba Fett's a thing. But with Jurassic World, and Jurassic Park is different because it makes you think not so much about the world, but the Jurassic Park makes you think about the issues in it. But this just takes the sort of limited world of Jurassic Park and makes a really fun, bigger version of it. And again, this is
there's one word you missed there. It makes a bigger and dumber version of it.
Sure, but I think we had this discussion when we talked about it. That's okay.
Yeah.
We have our heady version in Jurassic Park.
Which to me is more fun as well.
I think it's on different levels. I really do. If I'm in the mood for that, I want that. If I'm in the mood for I want to go and just have a fucking good loud time at the movies, Jurassic World sates that. It sates it a fucking bunch. So I did really enjoy it. What is your number 4, Shahir?
This is that inverse relationship that we were talking about. And we'll see if it pans out here. But my number 4 is A Pigeon Sat on a Branch Reflecting on Existence. I love this filmmaker. I love this film. My only reticence about this movie is that I think it's part of a trilogy of films that are, to me, difficult to separate from each other. Mm-hmm. And the first one that I saw was Songs from the Second Floor, which was such a transformative film for me, and I don't think A Pigeon Sat on a Branch Reflecting on Existence had that same transformative experience.
Right.
But ain't nobody making films like Roy Andersson does,
no.
and nobody will be, and nobody's going to emulate this. And his film, he can do things where he transcends time and space without making a deal of it. Like this film jumps backwards in time to a revolution that happened and then jumps forward in time to scientific experimentation today. It's so free and fluid. And that scene, I mean, I hope you remember the scene of a white colonist.
Oh, yeah, it's fucking horrifying.
Is horrifying and funny and beautiful and disturbing all in the same thing without changing the camera, and it's without moving the camera once.
Yeah.
So, masterful filmmaker. Nobody does what he does, and nobody does what he does as good as he does.
Yeah. We're a little off. It's not exact.
Not quite exactly.
My next one, my number 4 is The Gift.
No.
The Gift shocked the hell out of me, not because of what it was on screen, but sort of like how much I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah.
In a time I feel like the pure thriller has kind of died.
Yeah, it's hard to
It's
think
hard to do it because, and again, I blame, and I've said it on this podcast before, I blame marketing of films a lot of times. And again, I going back, but I got to give Star Wars kudos for the restraint, at least until the last 2 weeks before it released, of like not showing everything of the piece.
Yeah.
Fucking in a world where hype is fucking king, I mean, we're watching companies left and right shoot themselves in the foot over and over again with like just retelling their entire story in trailer format. You didn't watch it, I'm sure, but the Batman v Superman trailer,
haven't watched it.
There's no reason to see the film now.
That's why I haven't watched it.
I know, but not that we're dying to see it. I'm not.
I kind of am because I haven't seen the trailer.
Let me tell you, if you want the short version, it's available right now.
Don't want to do it, yeah.
But so in a world where it's increasingly just giving everything away in a trailer, this is a film that had a great trailer that kind of seemed like it gave everything away. And then when you go, it has like 12 more turns that feel natural and great and shocking and fun that you weren't expecting. So that to me really set it up as one of my most memorable films of the year because, you know, it was smaller and it's a thriller, but like I can't remember a time since. I'm trying to think of the last great thriller that I really sort of liked that didn't have like a supernatural element or like
well, for me, and you know, like if you liked The Gift, the other thriller that worked for me in the same way is actually by the same company of filmmakers, and it's called Animal Kingdom. And that's more of a gangster thriller, but it's just oh, this is why, you know, like this is the kind of films I live for. So
I really liked it. I think everyone should check it out if they already haven't. What is your number 3?
Number 3 is a film you've already mentioned, Anomalisa.
Really?
Yeah, Anomalisa. Anomalisa.
Right.
Anomalisa is a film the more I think about it, the more I love it. But I love its attention to detail that, you know, it's basically trying to put a microscope on the most minute things. And it does it so well. And then I don't think I've smiled as much as two people have chatted, you know, as two people spoke in a scene as much as I did in this film. You know, and I don't think I can't think of another film this year, apart from maybe Taika Waititi, who's a New Zealand filmmaker, his film What We Do in the Shadows. I don't think I laughed out loud as much.
That movie was phenomenal.
Yeah, well,
that movie was 100% badass wonderment
from my hometown, and it's great. But you know,
so good.
Anomalisa is another film I just laughed out loud at. I had you know, like emotional experiences doing this movie, and I still think it's a small film, you know. And no, I just really. Of the films we saw, it's definitely one of the ones that just sat with me.
Of course.
Yeah. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Right. So we were pretty close.
We were close. We were one off.
Yeah.
Again, I got to go back to, and again, I might credit us watching all 6 beforehand and making sort of a spectacle of it for ourselves before going to see it. But this, I mean, I got to admit, it was a cultural turning point. I tried desperately to not turning point, but cultural touch point. That's the word I was looking for. That I tried desperately, and not even tried. At first I was indifferent, then I tried to remain indifferent, and then once I sort of got a couple days away, like I got swept up in it because there's something fucking magical about the event of Star Wars, and this movie felt like Star Wars. Even if you're pissed that it felt too much like the first Star Wars, it's still something that in that world, if you like that world, you're probably gonna love this movie. And it's safe. Sure, it's 100% safe, but I think this is going to be a roundabout way of saying it. The choice to make it so safe is not.
I will respectfully disagree.
Well, because here's why. It's because you have these sort of they could. How do I put it?
Let me say one thing while you're thinking about that, which is that. I think one of the things that's been a trend this year that I've kind of been disappointed by is how
don't get into trends yet.
but disposable cinema, disposable films, films that are essentially watch it, be done with it, throw it away. And to me, Jurassic World is a perfect example of that. The Entourage film, which was the absolute bottom of my list, is a perfect example of just completely disposable cinema. And I think The Force Awakens falls into that category of being disposable. But of the disposable films we saw this year,
the best one.
It's probably the most enjoyable.
To have the balls to take such a beloved film and remix it, if you will. I'm talking A New Hope into this, and have people love it.
I'm sorry, that doesn't take balls to me.
Really?
No.
Do you realize how? I mean, think about
Look,
this for a second.
George A. Abrams is a great filmmaker.
Take Pigeon.
Yeah.
Take Anomalisa. Now you try to remake that, but make it different, but better for a new generation.
Like, in other words, remake it 20 odd years,
Sure.
no, almost 30 years later.
Yeah.
That doesn't strike me as ballsy.
It strikes me as ballsy because I see 100%, or not 100%, like 95% chance that you're gonna fuck it up, no matter who you are.
You know what? The good example is George Lucas with the prequels, which is taking the ballsy move is not remaking Star Wars and trying to go big. Now he fucks it up. That's the ballsy move.
Yeah.
But he did something. Like, this is the thing. Is A Force Awakens makes me think about how ballsy the prequels are.
Okay, I'll give you this.
Yeah.
Making the prequels in the way they are more ballsy than this movie, but the fact, even if you say, I want to remix Star Wars into this movie and make it for our generation, like, in order to, I just don't think it's easy to pull off feeling the same, having the same story beats, and still making, me personally, and a lot of people love it. I just don't see that as something that's doable by a lot of people. And I give J.J. Abrams...
Yeah, I agree.
I give J.J. Abrams a lot of shit for sort of being the clone director.
Yeah.
But in this sense, I feel like it's kind of a strength because, look, if you're trying to please with the film, and maybe this isn't your view or anything, and I think it probably isn't, but if you're trying to please most of the people most of the time, this was the move to do if you can pull it off.
And I hope in a weird way, I hope that the grand... long game here is that it was set up this way in order to do the next film from Rian Johnson.
And I think that's what it is. I hope that's what it is.
Yeah.
If it's not, you'll hear me changing my tune right quick. Let's move on. We've talked about Star Wars too much. What's your number 2?
Mad Max.
What?
Mad Max is my number 2.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah, I adored Mad Max.
I can't wait to hear what your number 1 is because I don't remember another film.
My Mad Max, I think, is extraordinary. I think everything that we talked about with The Force Awakens, with Mission Impossible, with Jurassic World, Mad Max gets everything that those films gets wrong. Mad Max gets 100% right. It is thrilling. It's exciting. I'm not invested in this world of the Mad Max universe, but I don't care. Like, Mad Max, gives me enough information to like go with it. I think, to me, Mad Max, even though it's the 4th film in a series, feels to me like what maybe seeing A New Hope felt like in 1977 or whatever.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah. Like, it's just such a bold film, yet at the same time it's such a crowd pleaser as well. It's so exciting, and it dances to the beat of its own drum, was what I love about it the most. It's such a odd universe. It's so good. It's great.
Well, my number 2 is Kung Fury.
Right.
Almost sort of for similar reasons why you made Mad Max your number 2 is because you're absolutely right. This is a thing, and we talked about it already, but it knows exactly what it is. It dances to its own fucking beat, and that is the fucking living, breathing heart of the 80s.
Yeah.
And it revels in the ridiculous. His partner's named Triceracop, and he has a fucking Triceratops head. He's got Hacker Man, 2 Amazonian or Icelandic sort of warrior women, the fucking actual Thor.
No, Zeus, right?
No, it's Thor.
Oh, is it Thor? Yeah.
And who else? They had a T-Rex help him out. And
great film.
And they fight Hitler. Like, come on. Like, and it all works, and it feels like it works in its ridiculousness. So that was my number 2.
So why don't you say what your number 1 is?
Well, my number 1 was Mad Max.
Yeah.
And I'll just say something about it real quick before we jump into your number 1, because I'm very curious as to what it is. I think Mad Max does something that no other film this year did, and that is it is a film that can be enjoyed at the highest level and by the fucking lowest knuckle dragger. Like it's something.
Dear listener, please note we don't often refer to you as knuckle draggers.
I don't think. I mean, look, this may be biased, but I don't think any of our listeners are knuckle draggers. but like you know this. Look, this is a film that will be a favorite of actual true film critics, people that are paid to do this.
Yeah, it's appeared as number one on so many lists.
It'll be appreciated and beloved by average moviegoers, and it'll be appreciated and loved by people who love Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Yeah,
like it's this weird, and what it's so wonderful in it is it can invoke enjoyment from all of these different people from all of these different reasons without sacrificing any bit of itself to any of them.
Yeah.
And how do you fucking do that? Like
I'll tell you how they do it is that they don't make the kind of calculation the way that you just talked about at Force Awakens, which is that I don't think George Miller is trying to please everyone. I think he's trying to make the best thing he can make.
Sure. But that's why on my list, Star Wars is number 3 and this is number 1.
Yeah.
Like you just don't get to see it. And I think it comes from a solitary vision that happens to be great.
Yeah.
But he's not getting a ton of fucking, there's not a trillion people breathing down his neck. And it was kind of the deal, I believe.
Remember,
with
the dude is 72 years old.
He's 71 now, I think.
71 now.
He was 70 when it got released.
Right, yeah. So, George Miller don't give a fuck about anything except what George Miller gives a fuck about.
He's a modern day Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah.
It was something magic, and I'm very glad. It was one of those movies where I actually thought this after like the second time seeing it in the theater. I was like, man, I'm glad I'm alive when this came out and I can see it in a movie theater.
Yeah.
Like, because I haven't had, like, Jurassic Park, I'm glad now, but I didn't get to experience that. Like, I didn't.
As a cognizant viewer.
I was like 11 or some shit,
yeah.
so I'm like, I was just like, this is so awesome, dinosaurs. But like now with a little bit more of a refined mental palate, it was really nice to sort of have that sort of I don't know, highbrow enjoyment moment. I don't know what
it's fantastic. It appears on so many top 10 lists of the year for very good reason.
What's your number 1?
What do you think my number 1 is?
I have no fucking clue. No clue.
No clue at all?
No clue at all.
My number 1 was The Gift.
Really?
Yeah, my number 1 was The Gift. Look,
I like it. You did good, sir. You didn't talk much when I was talking about The Gift. You did this whole thing. I thought you were just placating me, trying to get through. Although now, upon reflection, every one other than that one, you told me exactly where it fell or how it didn't fall on your list. So I should have known something's up. Continue. Why is The Gift number 1 for
Look,
you?
The Gift for me. Now, it's not if
it's the number 1 film we reviewed.
Yeah, there would be other films on the list, and The Gift would probably sit a little bit low. But The Gift would sit very highly on my actual top 10 list if I made one. And the reason is, The Gift is compelling from frame one, and I don't think I'd been in a film in such a long time where I was invested in what was going to happen. And what people were thinking the entire way through. You know, like Mad Max is amazing and bombastic, and it gave me such a thrill ride, and it was still, while still, not placating to me. But The Gift kind of like had me questioning what people were doing, had me questioning what I believed about people, had me questioning where this movie was going to go. And I think, like, the reason we do this podcast is one thing I love talking about films is, as a filmmaker, is trying to figure out what it is I love about films, because I love so many different kinds of films. And one of the things I loved about this film is it made me think about the kinds of films I like, which is that it has true 3 acts. It has real 3 acts where Act 3 changes everything we know about these, what happened in Act 1 and 2. And it's impeccably crafted. It's impeccably acted. I don't think I saw a false note in that movie when I watched it. And the ending is like a shot to the heart, and like when a movie kind of like ends and leaves me hanging, like gasping for air, I'm kind of, that's a really special thing. And, I can think of only a few films that have done that in my life. Michael Haneke's The Piano Teacher is one of those great endings, and another film by these guys, Animal Kingdom, is just the ending just like hits you in the face and walks out the door.
Yeah.
The Gift, like Joel Edgerton, who would have thought this? I mean, I thought he's a fantastic actor for such a long time. He might go down the road of Charles Lawton, who only made one film in his career, and it was amazing, and then went back to acting. I don't, he strikes me as the kind of person who could do that, but I would be very interested to see what he does next. But I think he knocked it out the park.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with you on any particular point. Yeah. But Mad Max is better. Anyway, those are our top 10 of the year that we reviewed. We want to move things right along because we don't want to make this too long. It's going to be a little longer than a normal episode, but not as long as a Star Wars episode. So we're going to keep moving. So what we did, we prepared 3 each, I believe, sort of like quick reviews.
I thought of a fourth one just as we're talking, but I'll only just say its name.
Let's just do, we'll do honorable mentions first. But then, so here's what I want to do. Basically, we're going to have like a minute to a minute and a half to review these movies. Then the other person gets to do a 1-sentence rebuttal to it, and then we move on. We laugh and we move on.
If we've seen the other person's movies.
Oh, I might still make one just in even if I don't.
Are these the films that we didn't review?
These are films we didn't review that we would have liked to get the chance to, but we never did.
Right.
So why don't you start? What are your honorable mentions before your first review?
There's only one honorable mention. I just think it was, again, wonderful, sustained storytelling. It was Kumiko, the Treasure Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that?
I heard about it.
Yeah. It's about a woman who watches Fargo and believes that there's really a map out there.
Yeah.
I just adored it. Like it's beautiful. It's simple. It's great. It would have made my, I had a really good time with it.
Good honorable mention. Let's move on to your first film you'd like to review that you didn't.
This is a film that actually came out last year, or may have even been the year before.
Do you know how year in review shows work?
But I watched it.
Do you know how numbering systems and review shows for the year work?
But I watched it this year. And it would be...
Shahir loopholed out.
It would be my favorite movie of the year, having watched it this year. And that's Asghar Farhadi's film, The Past, which... if Asghar Farhadi won is an Iranian filmmaker, and he won the best foreign film Oscar, I think 2 or 3 years ago, with a film called A Separation. I watched this movie, The Past. Again, it was one of those ones I popped it in at like 10 o'clock at night, thinking I'm going to watch like 20 minutes of this and see where it goes. It has one of the greatest final shots I've ever seen in a film.
Better than Rambo?
I don't remember what the final shot in Rambo is.
Walking away.
Asghar Farhadi as a writer is just probably, in my opinion, we are living in an era where the greatest screenwriter is walking amongst us, and he is it. And I would, the Charlie Kaufman would be in that list, and the other person I'm thinking of is the man who wrote Network, who I've gone blank on right now. But,
all right, well there you go. That's good.
This film is about a divorced couple that meet up in France to basically negotiate their divorce and settlement. But Asghar Farhadi writes drama like an action movie and like a mystery. So this film like unveils so much about these characters as the film progresses, without people talking about, oh, this happened to me and this happened to me. He does it in this way where it feels like an action movie. And again, this final shot in The Past is just devastating, beautifully executed, and will haunt me for the rest of my life.
Wow. Okay. Well, I guess my only rebuttal is I was raised on a houseboat in Spain, and I don't know if that's more pretentious than what you just said. But no.
Oh, pretentious. It's pretentious to love a film.
No,
okay.
No, just the way you spoke about it. No, but you're passionate about it, and I wish that's one of those things. I do wish like something like that, and maybe in the coming year when something like that hits you, let me know, and we'll do an actual show, like an actual full hour on it. Because again, if one thing you showed me with Pigeon was like, even if I like it when I can respect something if I don't enjoy it, and I'm not saying I wouldn't even enjoy that.
No, you might
I'm
not.
just saying it'd be interesting to try.
Right.
So I think that'd be something good to sort of do in the coming year too.
I'm gonna say, okay, so I'll just do 2 more quickly.
Oh, we'll go back and forth.
Oh, we're gonna do.
Sorry,
Okay,
we
yeah,
can
go
do
ahead,
Republic.
go ahead.
So
Yes,
my
sir.
honorable mentions,
go ahead.
just so you have it, was Kingsman: The Secret Service, which I really actually enjoyed from a
Right.
pure
I've been
action
wanting to
movie
see it,
standpoint.
yeah.
It's fresh enough on the James Bond kick that is really enjoyable. And if you like sort of cool action movies with kind of a neato twist, I would suggest seeing it. Also, of course, this couldn't be a review show without me mentioning the Avengers: Age of Ultron. You know how I stand on that.
Wow, I've forgotten that movie entirely.
That's your problem. That movie, as an example of filmmaking from Joss Whedon, and that if you can't respect it from you don't like the story, or you feel like Marvel movies are pittering out, the pure force of will that Joss Whedon had dealing with all of the nonsense and thousands of hands tugging at him to make that film and actually have it come out and be as good as it is mind blowing. So that's sort of what
I actually think I enjoyed that movie more than the first one.
I can't say that.
And if we had reviewed it, it might be higher on my list than The Force Awakens.
Really?
I think
Right.
maybe, yeah.
I mean, it is higher on my list as well. But again, we didn't do it. So my first one is Creed.
I have a list of films that I wish I'd seen, and Creed is very high on that
so
list.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but something I've been touting around. If I had a tagline or a box line sort of for this movie, it's "This is how a franchise should age."
Right. Yeah.
It is sort of a remake, but it's done with new characters. This is what I feel like what you were looking for in The Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm.
That you didn't get because
I wasn't looking for anything in The Force Awakens.
But you know, you said you didn't like it because you thought it was too safe and sort of with the same that like it relied on its pedigree too much.
Yeah.
Okay, this film does a lot with its pedigree.
Yeah.
But makes a completely sort of different and new story with it, and still has characters from 30 years ago or whatever the fuck it was, and just sort of like makes it feel like an actual passage of time and not a rehash.
Right.
And every performance, Sly and Michael B. Jordan, Tessa Thompson, they're fucking phenomenal in it. And it's interesting too because you get so tied with Philly in the Rocky movies.
Yeah.
It's a whole new sort of side to it now.
Yeah.
And it's really fucking cool to see for me. And I do really think Sly Stallone still fucking has it in certain roles.
Look, whatever Sly Stallone has done later in his career, you can never knock the man who made Rocky. Like that, the Rocky, as much as some people, like talk about how it shouldn't have won Best Picture, I think it beat Taxi Driver that year.
I think it should be Taxi Driver.
Really?
I do.
Yeah.
I think the first Rocky is something that was something that hadn't been seen before by major motion picture standards.
And the story, I remember, like the story of how Sylvester Stallone made Rocky, I think could be a movie unto itself,
and it should be eventually.
Yeah.
And we should have that movie, and maybe not how he made Over the Top.
Right.
Yeah. So that's, I don't know. It's Creed. Go see it.
I'm dying to see that.
I'm speaking to you. Go see it.
Yeah, I'm dying to see it. I don't think it's playing in the movie theaters anymore.
I know. Mini review number 2. Shahir, go.
Spotlight. I think Spotlight.
I did not see Spotlight.
Spotlight is superb. It's a very uncinematic film. It's very dryly made. It's very much about people in rooms having conversations about a very, very difficult topic. But it does. Like one of my favorite movies of all time is The Insider and JFK, for example. It's films that deal with an issue through drama, without like grandstanding.
Sure.
It just lays out all this information and it's compelling at every turn. And then, like for me, this other interesting thing about it is it has 3 actors that have been in major superhero movies, and I think they're doing the bit. I think the reason they do superhero movies is so they could do a film like this, which is really meaty. Like this film, and I'm talking about. It has I've forgotten his name. Ray Donovan, who plays Sabretooth in the X-Men movie.
I wouldn't call him a staple of superhero.
No,
movies.
but he has done a superhero movie before. It's got Michael Keaton from Batman many years ago. But the best thing about this movie is Mark Ruffalo, the Hulk. And this movie reminds me why Mark Ruffalo is a great actor. And this is the thing that always
Mark Ruffalo, sorry to interrupt. Mark Ruffalo also has a very sort of socially conscious, excellent Twitter feed. If you don't follow Mark Ruffalo, follow Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, and I feel like when you watch him in this film, I feel like this is the kind of film I wish he was doing all the time. You know, like he's so good in this, and his body, he's using every muscle in his body as an actor and doing it so well. And he's not the lead in the film, and he has a big scene in the movie, but it's just this film just tackles this issue without sensationalizing. I love good films about journalism. It's great.
All right. And if you want to see Mark Ruffalo in the future use every muscle in his body, go see Thor Ragnarok coming out in about 2 years. And I'm not kidding. He's going to be in it. He's going to be fucking awesome. Shut up, Shahir. My next movie is, again, a little bit following. It's funny. As much as I loved Age of Ultron, one thing I did feel fell a little flat, and it's because it was getting pulled a lot of different ways, was how Ultron himself was handled. He was set up very coolly, and then I feel like they squandered him. A film that did not squander the potential of AI is Ex Machina.
That was high five. That was my next movie that I was going to mention.
Was it right?
Yeah, we finally got in sync.
We did it. It only took an hour.
Ex Machina might be. It might have been my favorite movie of the year.
Well, let's talk about so obviously it's cool looking, and the sort of sense of uneasiness and just sort of oddity was phenomenal. Like you felt like you were there in this sort of compound of this genius doing kind of a mad scientist's work.
Yeah.
The ending, it's interesting. I don't want to spoil it. It's what I expected,
yeah.
But I also didn't care that I expected it. And
it's so satisfying.
And that is, yeah, you're absolutely right. And that is something that is amazing when I think a filmmaker pulls off is when I know the ending, but it's still phenomenal to experience.
Yeah.
And my last sort of point about it, because we do have to keep these quick, and then you can talk about it because it's also yours. Oscar Isaac, man.
Oh, dude, this guy.
This fucking guy.
This is the saving, like in The Force Awakens for me, when he was on it, I was like, oh man, this guy. What's cool about him is he's such a great character actor in Ex Machina, and then he's such a movie star in The Force Awakens.
He's movie star everywhere. Like, and it's good. That's a good thing. A movie star to me is someone that can transcend in different roles. Johnny Depp, and I know he's sort of fallen off, people don't like sort of the things he's done lately, and I kind of do, depending on what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But like,
you're a Mordecai fan?
No. I love Mordecai. No. But like, he back in the day
is a movie star.
He can do Jack Sparrow, and he can do fucking super serious shit. He can do everything when he has the chance to do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like Oscar Isaac is going to be one of those people that can have it all in that sense.
He's great in Ex Machina. If you can, please watch Show Me a Hero on HBO with Oscar Isaacs in the lead. Produced by David Simon of The Wire fame. It's an amazing show, and Oscar. God, this guy.
He's had a great year. He's had a great year,
and he's doing
a most violent year, if you will.
You know, the funny thing the thing that Oscar Isaacs is, I loved. I was kind of like weirded out by the movie Inside Llewyn Davis. Did you see that? The Coen Brothers film with Oscar Isaacs in the lead.
Yep.
About a folk singer in the Lower East Side, and Oscar Isaac plays him and sings all the songs in the film.
He can sing like he sang at the end of our podcast.
And he's a beautiful singer, and I'm like, it's one of my I have a son now, a little baby, and it's one of my favorite things is to sing along with Oscar Isaacs to my child.
Wow.
He's that good a singer.
So Oscar, if you're ever in Queens, you should probably stop by and just sing to Shahir's kid, because he'll be familiar with his work.
Yeah, total man crush on Oscar Isaacs.
No, he's
so
fucking.
Good.
He's just. You're absolutely right.
But to me, Ex Machina is just a testament of beautiful writing. Beautiful screenwriting that explores a complex idea through great writing and through dramatic structure,
and through emotion, I think too. I think it portrays emotion and sort of gets these complex things and boils them down to sort of why people do things. I don't know. It's very smart and fun.
Oh yeah, and now that ending is so great. It's Ex Machina. Again, that's a film just got me so. When I watched it, I was just so excited by it. You know?
Well, my last film, because you did your 3, right? We did 3 from you.
Yeah, we did 3.
Because we doubled up on Ex Machina. My last one is, I don't know if you saw this movie, but if you want to talk about movie stars and you want to talk about what a fucking movie star is, I want to talk about the film Youth.
Oh yeah.
Youth. I have said this to Shahir in the past, but Youth is a film starring Michael Caine, Harvey Keitel, Rachel Weisz, Paul Dano, and Jane Fonda.
Right.
And
only one of those people has youth.
No, two. Paul Dano is.
Oh, Paul Dano and Rachel Weisz. Yeah,
Rachel Weisz, too. But I saw a screening of this with most of them in tow, and it's funny when I was questioning about Hateful Eight if if it was because Quentin Tarantino was there. I can purely tell you that Youth, I can honestly say, is my favorite non-action film of the year.
Right.
Whether or not they were in attendance. It's a brilliant portrayal of aging that anyone can relate to. And that's a hard topic to sort of get, not only to give like the emotional weight of it, but make it entertaining in doing so. The cinematography, Shahir, you would blow your proverbial or possibly real load all over this movie. It is gorgeous.
Oh, well, I mean, the director, Paolo Sorrentino, is part of the new wave of Italian filmmakers coming through.
Yeah.
And he's, the Great Beauty is amazing.
Cinematography, locations, again, were beautiful. And it's funny because you have all these heavy hitters. You have fucking Michael Caine and fucking Harvey Keitel. And here comes Paul Dano.
Yeah, I mean, he stole the show, and There Will Be Blood as well.
I know, but like I'm just impressed with people that can hold their own and not steal. Like, not stealing show. When I say something like that, is something like you could actually take it in a negative standpoint.
Yeah.
But this guy just fucking rides the same level as them. And it was so impressive to see, and I was very interested in what his character was doing, even though his character was kind of tertiary, still important to the plot.
Right.
But it was a sort of a flip side of things that I really enjoyed.
You know who he reminds me of a little bit? I'd imagine a young Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, like he kind of feels like that.
Yeah. But yeah, this was just a movie that if you just like blow 'em up stupid movies, go see this and you'll have a new favorite type of movie. Like it's that good.
Right.
And it's another one I wish we had the time to actually see and review.
Well, maybe we will this year. I think we should make a commitment to each other. Let's make a pinky swear, a commitment ring. Let's hold hands right now if we can. If a film like that gets you excited, and you've talked about this film a lot, and because you've talked about it, I really want to see it.
Right.
And I may not have actually been on my radar of films to watch.
It's so funny. It wasn't on mine, and I randomly got the invite from the missus for the screening, and I'm a huge Michael Caine fan.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a powerful movie, and I suggest people see it.
So I want to just do, and I'm just going to read these out because we're about to get into our email feedback now as well. But these are films that I wished I'd seen this year but didn't see. So if you're a listener and you had seen these films, please write us in and tell us what you thought about them without any spoilers. I know we spoil things for you, but don't spoil them for us.
Yeah, don't be a dick like we are.
But there are a couple of them are things that you've mentioned already. These aren't in any particular order. Youth, I really want to see. Is that out right now? I don't even know.
Youth might still be in theaters because it came out in December.
Creed, I really wanted to see in the theater. Victoria, I believe it's a Canadian single take heist movie.
Okay.
That I think would be a great experience to see in a theater. Room, the Alison Brie film.
I've heard wonderful things about that.
Wonderful things
and
about
I love
that.
Alison Brie.
Yeah. Carol, I really want to see. Big Todd Haynes fan. The Revenant. There's a film with Leonardo DiCaprio coming out. Possibly one of the biggest movie stars in the world.
Yeah.
And I haven't gone to see it. But it looked, like I did see the initial trailer for that film, and I was like, ooh, it gave me chills. Son of Saul, the Holocaust film, the Israeli Holocaust film. I've heard just amazing things about. And the movie I'm most saddened that I didn't see in a theater. Because I think it would have just been an incredible experience, is The Tribe, which I believe...
Oh, yeah, you talked about it.
I'm not sure which country it's from. I'm going to say Eastern European of some description, but a film where the only communication is in sign language and the film has no subtitles. The trailer, again, just gave me the chills. I heard so many good things about this film.
Yeah.
Wish I'd gone to see it. Hopefully we'll see it.
And here I thought Pixels was going to top that list.
Yeah, Pixels was on my... Man, I'm disappointed.
I'm so
Paul
disappointed.
Blart
Yeah. All right, so good. So let's, before we talk about trends and what we're looking forward to, let's get into some of our lovely listener emails. You have them all in front of you, do you not?
I do. Again, we want to thank everyone that listened and and took the time to email us. Remember, you can email us at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com. We will try to read emails that come to us.
And it's funny, we're going to implement this as moving forward near the end of the show. We're going to, we're going to wrap up a review a little early, and if there's emails, we're going to read them and sort of discuss what you guys are discussing with us, kind of keep the conversation open. And it's funny because for I'd say the first 2/3 of this podcast, we were berating you and slapping you in the proverbial face with free movie tickets to email us, and now we're not doing any of that, and you guys still want to talk. So I feel very thankful for that. So Shahir, let's listen to some
now
excerpts.
a few of these are people we know as well, but
I don't give a fuck.
we haven't heard from them in a while, and a lot of these relate to Star Wars.
A few of these are people I've never met or heard of. So
yeah,
it's great
we've got a
to
few of
have
those as well.
Takes all kinds.
First one comes in from Stephen Press, a cameraman in TVNZ, director, editor himself. I've actually worked with Stephen Press a while back, so he's been listening to the podcast. He wrote us a lovely email basically saying, nice podcast, but you guys forgot to mention one important part of the Star Wars universe, the Star Wars Holiday Special. And he writes this fantastic email about seeing Star Wars, the Star Wars trailers for the first time and like getting hooked into the buzz of it. And then he writes, I was hooked and the buzz and the hype are almost immediately of the Star Wars universe. And I wanted to see everything about behind the scenes and docos. And then what almost instantly killed the whole buzz for me was the Star Wars Holiday Special. It was such a kick in the nuts that I wasn't expecting much for Empire. Phantom Menace proved to me that the shitty Holiday Special wasn't a fluke. And coming out of Attack of the Clones, a guy in front of me said, well, that didn't suck as much as I thought it would. And I thought, is this the standard? I can't do this anymore. To him, the Star Wars specials was so bad that he just gave up on Star Wars.
There's that in Battle for Endor, right?
And Caravan of Courage.
Right.
Steven, I'll just say one thing because I haven't watched the Star Wars special, but even though we're the only podcast about movies, please listen to How Did This Get Made, Paul Scheer's podcast, where they do an entire episode devoted to the Star Wars special. And I was listening to some of that on the way here, and I hear there's a softcore porn scene in the Star Wars holiday special.
I don't remember. I saw it when I was too young.
Yeah, there's a Wookiee watching softcore porn on a monitor, apparently. Check it out.
That's an interesting pitch. All right, what else we got? Who else emailed us?
Now, this is a tricky one because Ivan's talking very specifically here, but Ivan Kanda wrote us an email. If you remember, Ivan was on the podcast talking to us about Star Wars Episode 3. We're sorry, Ivan, that you had to listen to that.
I'm not sorry. You did great. Thanks for coming on.
We're sorry that we made you watch that movie.
Please, I'm not.
So I'm going to just take a pause here for everyone. We're going to reveal a major spoiler from The Force Awakens here. If you have not seen The Force Awakens, please skip forward by about 2 minutes from here on in.
I'm going to time you.
Because we're going to give you a big spoiler here. Ivan Kanda from Short of the Week and Lucky 9 Studios says, for the most part, I agree with Shahir. In regards to his criticisms of the film, I hate how every major movie now just feels like a setup for another movie. I'm a big fan of 3-act structure, and as much as I appreciate that this is the golden age of television and franchises, serializing everything is sort of killing the satisfaction of a contained cinematic experience. But what Ivan really wanted to talk to us about was something that we talked about in that episode, which was what did Han's death mean to the film?
Right.
Now, if you remember from the episode, I said that I didn't think Han's death mattered that much to the overall context of the film, and you thought that it had to do with Kylo Ren's journey.
Sure, I think it's because I have a soul, but continue.
Well, Ivan writes a really good point, and I actually agree with him completely on this. Han's death is very important to Rey's character. It's sort of the thing that gives her even more reason to summon her courage and duel with Kylo at the end. It makes for a solid bit of revenge and audience satisfaction as she takes on the man who just killed her surrogate father figure. But beyond that, it pushes her back to the lightsaber that she rejected earlier in the film, and thus forces her to become an active player and fulfill her destiny to become the next Jedi. That's huge from a character and plot perspective. Ivan, I wish somehow through telekinesis you had made that point while we were discussing it. I completely agree with you.
I agree as well, but I think that's 100% true, but I also stand by what I said too. It can be both. Thanks, Ivan. Thank you, Ivan, for giving us a cool new way to look at it and a very agreeable way to look at it.
Yeah, I think it's something that we both agree on.
We do. but if you agree with Shahir,
go fuck yourself. Sam Kelly, who is a filmmaker in New Zealand. I urge everyone, if you can, look up Sam Kelly's film Lambs. It's extraordinary. He's a great filmmaker, good friend of mine.
What up, Sam?
Sam Kelly writes in about The Force Awakens. He wrote directly to me because, again, we've known each other for a long time. So he says, I agree with your take on it. It was a lack of originality and unique personality that bothered me the most. I think the filmmakers were approaching The Force Awakens as a corrective measure, trying to get the universe back on track after the terrible prequels by focusing on what made the original trilogy great. I think you would argue, this is a break from Sam's email, I think you would argue that's what made the film great for you, Matt.
Yes.
The focus, this is back to Sam's email, the focus led to a form of mimicry that left a bad taste in my mouth. He goes on to give, I think it was like a 2-page email which listed everything that he thought was similar in a bad way to A New Hope. And I'll just read one of them, which was that 3 of the last 4 Star Wars episodes have been based on blowing up the Death Star. I mean, come on. I've already seen the original trilogy. Now I'm looking for something.
There's only been 3 Death Stars, I think.
Is it 3 of the 4 last? There's
a Death Star in New Hope, there's a Death Star in Return of the Jedi, and then there's this Star Killer planet.
So whatever. 3 of the last 4 Star Wars movies have been with a Death Star. Yeah,
touche.
About blowing up a Death Star. Sam concludes with, I've already seen the original trilogy. Now I'm looking for something that takes it further, not the same again. Something interesting, unique with a personality. Hopefully that'll be the next episode. I agree with
this
Sam.
mirrors what you're saying, and I respect Sam as a human being. And actually, a couple things in there I do agree with, but I will retort with this. So, Shahir, does your family, your mother or father or whatever, have like recipes, like family recipes?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so what's a family recipe of yours?
Well, here's the thing: eating a meal.
No, just let's continue the analogy.
You need to eat. You don't need to go to the movies every day. This is where your analogy falls apart immediately.
No, I'm sorry. Would you be able to survive? Mentally, I'd be as happy and adept as you would if you could not see movies anymore.
But you don't need family recipes are different because you need to eat.
You need sustenance, but you don't need it to taste good. Let's keep talking. What's your family recipe?
Oh God, my mother's lamb curry.
Lamb curry. Yeah. Okay, so your mother's lamb curry is delicious, is it not?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
There's a million dishes my mother makes.
Great, but let's just focus on the lamb curry.
Yeah.
And hello to Shahir's mother.
Yeah.
Every time she makes it, does it taste exactly the same, or does she ever sort of experiment with it a little bit?
She experiments with it a little
right,
bit.
And is it still delicious?
It's occasionally not.
Of course.
And occasionally, here's the thing. You could get tired of lamb curry if you had to have it every time you were.
Good thing in this scenario you didn't have it for 30 years. So what I'm saying
But I did have, there's only 4 instances of Star Wars in the last 30. No, there's 7.
So better to my point, there's only so many, so you really can't get sick of it. My point is experimentation, slight experimentation, and reduxing of things you love can be good. We need to move on to another email, Shahir.
And we're going to be still in the Star Wars universe for a little while. Will Evett wrote to us recently. Will wrote, it made me cringe a little bit when you were digging into the prequels for having too many callbacks to the original. I can't wait to see how you handle The Force Awakens. Hopefully, Will, you've seen The Force Awakens by now, and hopefully you've listened to our review. Anywho, just letting you know that I agree that the prequels are lame, but I actually think that the story that is hidden away in there is much better than the originals.
It's Jess Tucker follower.
Yeah, it's just fucked up on screen. Imagine Lucas chose to show all the wrong things. I recently started watching The Clone Wars on Netflix because Force Awakens reignited my mega bedsheet having fandom from when I was a kid.
Yeah, boy.
And honestly, everything that happens in that series makes the whole world of the originals seem a bit dull and small by comparison. Also, Matt, I agree that General Grievous was awesome.
Yeah.
He didn't really get his dues in Revenge of the Sith. Again, part of that whole great story, terrible execution thing. Finally, he ends with, P.S. Webster's Dictionary defines viceroy as the governor of a country or province who rules in the name of the sovereign with regal authority as the king's substitute. So viceroy in the films was...
he was sort of, actually it kind of makes sense because he was in the Trade Federation, so maybe he was the person sort of in charge of the Trade Federation while the king or the emperor was away.
Yeah, again. Thank you, Will. That's a reminds us of Jess Tucker's contribution to the podcast this year, and I agree with you as well. I think the Force Awakens to me kind of. And I believe I mentioned this when we did the prequels, is that the ambition of the prequels was startling and was, to me, one of the great factors about the prequels. Now, I don't think the prequels are good movies. I'm never going to be an apologist for the prequels, but I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Will. Yeah. And I think The Force Awakens reinforces your point somewhat.
Next email.
Josh Krasowski. Now, I have met Josh once or twice. We know each other
Hello, Josh.
very briefly. But he's going to talk about The Hateful Eight, and spoiler for The Hateful Eight, if you recall. So just move forward a little bit here if you haven't seen The Hateful Eight yet. We got into I think a pretty interesting discussion about the politics of Daisy's character,
sure,
who is seen as the big bad at the end of the film. And I think Josh articulates something that I was thinking. He says, the violence towards Daisy seems a little much to me, and I couldn't figure out why until I was listening to your review. You're welcome, Josh. She wasn't the main bad guy in the film. Channing Tatum's character, Jodie, was. This is probably why her hanging at the end feels a bit misogynistic to me after all the countless beatings she received. The film does a great job of visually demonizing her, Russell and Tatum's blood, but I kept waiting for an explanation of why she was so bad. And I think that's a problem that the film has, for me anyway, is that the film doesn't deal with her character other than in a sort of cartoonish way. Which I thought was problematic. I don't know. You sort of saw the point, but I don't think it bothered you that much.
It didn't bother me, but everyone, including this email and you and a bunch of other people I've talked to, it bothered a lot more. So I want to kind of, again, when I watch it again, I want to kind of watch it with that sort of idea in my head.
Just like me, perhaps because like me, who doesn't enjoy fun, you just don't enjoy women. Moving on, Steve Bua from Animal writes from Same Night Movie Review.
What up, Steve? He writes, Dear Shahir, stop being a dick.
Thank you for being on the show and being really an instigator for getting us to talk about movies. It's through his website that Matt and I probably started talking about movies a little bit, and then the show that Matt and Steve have together, Same Night Movie Review, which is gonna come back in some way or form.
We're gonna be doing a video series called Shot for Shot, and I'll let you know when that happens. But the Steve and I don't know if I've mentioned this before. Same Night Movie Review used to be a thing we did when we were young. We'd go to the movies, and then the same night we would write, shoot, and edit a video review in the style of the film that we just saw.
Holy shit! I'm exhausted listening to it.
And the first film we did was a little movie, and I'm trying to. Oh, it's not Underworld. That was a movie I didn't mind. It was Mila Jovovich vampire movie. Awful. No,
not Resident Evil.
No. Wow, I'm blanking. Ultraviolet. I knew it was a U word. Yeah. Wow, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
I got home and I was so fucking angry at it. I was like, I started drinking hard. And then we just ranted and did this crazy thing. You can still find all this stuff. If you search Same Night Movie Review, Ultraviolet, you will see a young me scream about a film for 4 minutes. This is before we did it in the theme of the movie. We started
if you haven't had enough about Matt, if you haven't had enough Matt screaming about movies.
But no, the most popular thing I've done on YouTube, I think it still gets 2 or 3 hits a day, which is weird because it's from like 9 years ago, is our Silent Hill review. The film Silent Hill. We did it in the same theme. Anyway, I'm sorry to derail from Steve's thing, but Steve and I have been talking about movies since college. So
Steve wrote in about Anomalisa.
For one of your favorite movies.
I still can't pronounce it properly. No. And I saved this one for last because I think it's a good question mark here. But Steve writes, just a thought and question. Will Anomalisa make me just want to give up on any kind of screenwriting career whatsoever? Outside of the profound sense of catharsis that I get at the end of every Kaufman film, there is also a sense of why even bother? Because of the fucking of the story structure and everything in the films makes me just want to give up. Do you guys ever feel the same?
I'm not quite. You decode this. Actually, Steve, I'm not quite following.
I think what he's saying is he enjoyed it. And Steve, you can email us again if I'm misinterpreting
Dear
this.
Shahir, you got it wrong. And Matt, you should know me better.
is what he's saying is that at the end of every Kaufman film, like at the end of Being John Malkovich, you watch that and you go, well, I'm not going to try screenwriting because nothing I'm going to make is ever going to be as good as that.
As good? Oh.
I think that's what Steve is trying to get at. And I'm going to put on my filmmaker hat here and talk about kind of maybe why we do this podcast a little bit. You know, again, that question of it helps me think about the kinds of films I like. And one of my biggest fears is that I'll make a film one day that some other people will review and talk about in the way that I've talked about other films, like, oh, well, it was good, but he didn't really think about this, because making films is hard. So, again, we extend the love out to all filmmakers that make something.
Yeah.
But my point there is I kind of think about the way you look at your idols as a logarithmic curve.
Sure.
Which is that it is a curve forever approaching a certain point, and that point is your idol's level of quality, and you will never reach that level of quality, but you will perpetually get closer to it. And here's the thing: you might one day become somebody else's idol who will strive to be as good as you are. So, yes, I watched Anomaly. I watched Being John Malkovich and Eternal Sunshine, and think I will never write anything that good. And if I wrote anything half as good as that, I could probably give up being a filmmaker. But at the same time, the more you write and the more you make things, the better you get at it. And the more you might make something that's nothing like your idols have made, and something completely different, and something that someone else will watch and be inspired by.
No, and those are all good points, and I understand it. Steve, I think on my end, I don't think I create things. This is going to sound weird, and I might border on Shahir country of pretentiousness, but it's not just yours. It can be all of ours. I don't make things because I want, because I expect people to. Let's call it that. I don't make things because I expect people to resonate with people, I guess. Mm-hmm. So like to say the sentence like, "Oh, I'll never make something as good as this thing," like. Yeah, I can say with a straight face and totally believable, I'll never write something as good as Joss Whedon writes things. But like at the same time, it doesn't matter to me that I won't, because writing and creating for me is more of a personal cathartic sort of thing. And obviously I want people to like it, and I want the most people to see it. But I never watch a film that I love, or I never finish watching Buffy and Angel, for instance, for me, which I think writing wise, holy fuck. I know it sounds silly, but Joss Whedon did something truly special there. Firefly, even the Avengers, like in my eyes, he has a certain way about him that is unbeatable.
Yeah.
But just because I'm not going to do that doesn't mean what I make will have any less impact on myself, if that sort of makes any weird sense.
And I think another way of putting that I think is interesting is that no matter what you make, you're contributing to the art form for which we all benefit. So it doesn't matter if you don't think it's good enough. You're still part and parcel of, you're being part of this art form, which is beautiful, that is such a joy to all of us. And again, I extend that out to everybody that made a film, even if we didn't like it. I didn't like the Entourage movie, but someone contributed to the art form. I use the word art very loosely when I speak about Entourage.
I want that to be on the box again.
But many
pull quotes.
Someone contributed to the art form in some capacity, and we all benefit from that in some way.
I think what we're really trying to say is, so kind of the coming year, the next films we'll do is Shahir will review my film that I made in, I want to say the end of 2004 is when I finished it. No, 2003, called Skulls Across New York. And Shahir, if you could just get me something that you shot when you were 16, like I did with that one, then we'll just review each other's movies, and then we'll talk about art forms.
Right. And just remember, it's not a competition.
No. I think you and I made very different movies. No, so is that the last email?
That's it. Thank you very much again.
Thanks, everybody.
OnlyMoviePodcast@gmail. Write us in, or Twitter @OnlyMoviePod.
No, please do. And it's nice. It's nice hearing from you guys. And we didn't hear from any gals, but please feel free to write in as well, because
we want the conversation to flow both ways. We want, like Ivan's email, we want people to change our minds about something.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. We don't have much time left. I wanted to kind of kick this around now, but let's talk a little bit about trends we saw this year, and then go straight into what we're expecting for 2016.
I'm hoping, look, we're never going to get away from the big tentpole films. I'm hoping. One thing I was disappointed by was that there weren't more films like Mad Max Fury Road, as far as trends go. But then I think there was just such gems in the middle of it, like Ex Machina.
Well, here's sort of let me just go down my list of these, and we can talk about them.
Yeah.
Like after I list the trends,
Sure,
we can just talk about whatever's interesting for a couple minutes. So one big trend, obviously, is franchising. I mean, with Star Wars and the new Marvel movies or the current Marvel movies, franchising is becoming bigger than ever. Even Mad Max is getting 2 more.
Yeah.
So like I know it's been for the last couple years, but like it's really kicking into full swing. Like if you don't have a trilogy of films, look at the Hunger Games, look at the fucking Maze Runner, look at anything like this shit. If you don't make 3 movies, you're not making a movie. And I don't agree with it. I don't like it in all circumstances. I know you have a huge problem with it in some cases.
I just have a huge problem with it when you're not making one good movie. You're trying to make
Sure. And that I think you could look at The Hobbit. Yeah. I think The Hobbit would have been a great, beautiful single movie.
Yeah.
So a lot of franchising. Lots of spies this year. Lots of spies. Kingsman, Man from U.N.C.L.E., Spectre, MI5, Taken 3. They even got their own Bridge of Spies. Like there's a lot of spy films, more this year it seemed than in the last couple. I don't know why. I mean, I
have no empirical data to
we
compare.
always see like it's Dante's Peak and Volcano, like that sort of shit. Like it's like the
Armageddon and
Contact. No, whatever that comet movie was.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been seeing a lot of that. I know you're going to disagree with this, but Marvel shaking things up as much as they can, and by that I mean you have your giant tentpole of Ultron, which I know has to get their fingers in a lot of different pies to keep the old train running, and I personally don't mind that. I know you don't like it. I'm talking about Ant-Man.
Oh, I was thinking more about Daredevil and Jessica Jones.
And that too.
Yeah, I think those are the more exciting things.
Sure,
that Marvel
Ant-Man I like because it's a different feeling Marvel movie to me. I
didn't see it.
It's a heist movie, and that's really nice to see. But you're absolutely right. Daredevil and Jessica Jones, and they're not as artful, but I'll even throw in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Peggy Carter.
Right. Yeah.
Marvel Television is doing some phenomenal shit, and they're doing phenomenal shit with what the Marvel universe, the comic universe, would consider the leftovers.
Right.
And S.H.I.E.L.D. took some shaky ground to get moving, and it's because of that had to stay in contact with the movies. Daredevil and Jessica Jones don't have to worry about that, and they just sort of like play off of tiny moments. They only mention like the Battle of New York once or twice, and it's nice. Like that's what it should feel like. And I think the Marvel Television is sort of figuring that out.
Yeah.
Peggy Carter, the character, is all over. She's an Ant-Man, she's in Avengers, she's in Avengers 2, she's in Captain America, and she has her own series set in her own time with Anthony Stark's butler.
Okay.
Jarvis. Anyway, doesn't matter. I think Marvel's doing some smart stuff and shaking it up where they can. The remake-will is king.
Yeah, the redoing thing. I think, again, Matt Singer over at Screen Crush, he coined the phrase the legacy quell, which is, basically we're taking the franchise and doing a legacy transfer of it, like Creed, where you see the old actors handing it over.
Star Wars, Jurassic Park, or Jurassic World, Creed, Mad Max even, Spectre, Terminator, which isn't good like the other ones are.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? We're talking about movies that we remember and
we
think
forgot
about.
completely about Terminator.
No. But like Terminator, I do think back to moments of it.
Really?
And it's not that I think it's great or good. Like I think I really love that universe so much. That,
I like that universe more than the Star Wars universe.
I can take moments of it that I really like and sort of remember them fondly. Like
it started so strong that
it
movie.
really did. The first third of that movie's kind of great.
Yeah. But it as quickly as it starts is as quickly as it falls over.
So yeah, the remake will, or what was the term you used?
The legacy quill.
Legacy quill.
That's Matt Singer's phrase.
I don't think it's going anywhere. Any other trends you noticed, Shahir?
Nothing. I just, look, it's the golden age of television, and television is still reigning supreme.
There's thousands of television podcasts you can listen to, so I don't want to get into that too much, but being the only podcast about movies.
Yeah. But if you could, it's not a trend, but what, this thing about Fargo, taking a movie and turning it into a TV show.
Yeah.
I think we'll see a little bit more of that with the success of Fargo. And everyone should watch The Nick.
Nice. Yeah.
Things that you're looking forward to next year.
Yeah. So a couple films. I just wrote films that I'm looking forward to. Something I just discovered. I like Kevin Smith. I like Kevin Smith.
I was a big Chasing Amy was a big movie for me. Yeah.
I like a lot of his movies. I didn't see Tusk. I heard mixed things about Tusk.
I didn't see it.
But I guess that's going to be a trilogy of films, sort of.
Tusk is?
Not like the characters in Tusk, but there's one character, I guess, that will continue on in these other two films.
Like an anthology series?
Yeah, so the second one is called Yoga Hosers.
And it's got Johnny Depp's
Johnny Depp's daughter and
his daughter, right?
Harley Quinn Smith.
Oh, Margot Robbie?
No, Harley Quinn Smith. That's Kevin Smith's daughter.
Oh, okay.
And Johnny Depp, I think, is the character that transfers between. I think Johnny Depp was in Tusk for a second. I don't know. But like, I was watching, I was listening and reading up on this film, and it just seems super sort of I don't know, interesting and fun. And I'd be interested to see Tusk this and the third one when it's done. I don't know. I got kind of excited about that.
Right.
Another movie. Obviously, I can't talk about comic book movies without being excited for Deadpool. Here's a film.
I kind of like, again, I like the Deadpool character, and I think that Deadpool character. And no, I think I like the look of that. I think it looks cool, and I
like how it came about. This is a passion project for fucking Ryan Reynolds and the people involved. They worked hard on the script to make sure it stayed true to the character, and that means rated R. I know that's weird to sort of say, but like, and their ad campaign throughout this year has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Be it their holiday stuff, the 12 Days of Deadpool, or the Halloween thing they did, or even the Mario Lopez thing they did on Extra.
Yeah.
Where they did the fake reveal that it was going to be PG-13, and then Deadpool comes over and goes, "Fuck you, Slater," and smashes a chair over his head. Like, it's the perfect Deadpooliness.
Yeah. I'm oddly excited because I haven't watched any trailers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I am a big Batman fan. The Batman v Superman movie, because I haven't watched anything, I'm kind of like, I want to see what they're doing. You know, I want to see the Ben Affleck Superman. I want to see if, you know, like I've always loved Frank Miller's Dark Knight, and I feel like that they're really trying to translate that into the film. And I'm curious. I'm very curious about that.
Let me ask you when the last time you read Frank Miller's Dark Knight is.
I read it. I read it kind of like once every couple of years.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
And you think it holds up?
No, it's the more I've read it, the more it falls apart.
It's such a teenage boy thing.
Well, the more I read it, the stranger it gets. Like like every time I read it, like the Joker's plan seems weirder and weirder to me.
I think it's you're growing up, you're evolving as a person, you're thinking more.
Yeah.
I think as a teenage boy and even a young man, you're like, this is so fucking smart and dark and cool, and eventually you're like,
What I remember, the thing with the Dark Knight was like, I was that guy. I was walking around going, this is smart and cool and one of the best comics ever written. And then someone handed me Watchmen. Yeah, and I read Watchmen and I was like, okay,
Watchmen's great.
I get it. Yeah. And ever since I've read it, it's like, oh yeah, Watchmen is better than this.
I can't get excited about Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice because they're blowing their load all over the place, which kind of tells me they don't even think they have anything.
Haven't watched the trailer, so I can't say. And the odd thing is, I didn't mind Man of Steel. I didn't mind it. You know, I
hate it.
Yeah, I kind of didn't mind it. I kind of didn't mind the end of it. I kind of like the style of it. I think it's got problems all over it. It's part of the superhero thing, but if you're gonna take Superman and darken him up and gritty realize him, right? You can't. You can't. I've opened a floodgate here.
I'm sorry. We do have to wrap this up. I will say this. Something I'm very disappointed about with Batman v Superman and the whole DC cinematic universe is they're not keeping the phenomenal cast of the television shows and integrating them as Arrow and the Flash.
Yeah.
They're just making new Arrow and new Flash in film form, and it's gonna be awful.
I haven't watched those shows.
Anyway, another movie I'm looking forward to, The Witch.
That was the movie I was going to talk about.
Look at that. We did 2 for 2. We're on point.
We're finally converging. Our brains are kind of melding into one.
Then we got to end this quick. That's going to be a great horror movie. I know did you watch the trailer?
I watched the trailer.
Oh, you fucking cheater.
No, and it's one of those, you know, like, and this is why I love The Nick this year as well, because it's one of those films that, like, you know, was a really tough sell. You know, like, I want to make a film about a witch in 1930s or something, 1630s. And it's like, it's a film you didn't realize you wanted until you saw the trailer and you were like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And that was what The Nick was for me. And when I watched that trailer, I was like, oh yeah, I want to watch a horror movie set in that time and place. You know?
Of course. No, it's gonna be great.
It just looks great. It could be terrible.
Yeah. What else on your list? We should breeze through some.
Knight of Cups, the new Terrence Malick film.
Oh yeah, that'll be good.
I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of To the Wonder, even though I'm a huge fan of Terrence Malick. I feel like he's getting further and further away from what made him. He's sort of stagnating to me. Mesmerizing artist, beautiful filmmaker. Yeah. But To the Wonder didn't do much for me. And Knight of Cups, when I watched the trailer, I was like,
stop watching trailers.
Yeah, I know. I got to stop watching trailers.
Jesus Christ. I'm looking forward to a film called Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, which is a Tina Fey joint.
Yeah, Tina Fey.
And it's the direction that I want to see Tina Fey go in now.
It looks a little bit like Three Kings.
Yes, but like here's the deal. Like I love 30 Rock, and I love the sort of Lisa Lemon sort of persona, and I feel like that's a lot of Tina Fey's sort of shtick in films.
Yeah,
it's not. It's different, and it's changed a little bit. But this felt like an actual real character from an actress that I love, and a great writer and a great overall entertainer that I love. And I think it felt different enough, but it kept enough of her in it and sort of a niceties with it, but also felt completely new, at least from the trailer's perspective. So. I'm really looking forward to it.
The only reason I'm looking forward to it is the directors, Glenn Ficarra and John Rickwell. They did a film that you and I went and saw together. I can't remember if we reviewed it on the show, called Focus, with Will Smith.
Oh yeah,
did we review that? Or
no,
did
we did not.
We just
talked about it.
Yeah. And I just look. They did a film called Crazy Stupid Love, which was like, one of those just like surprise knockouts for me. And so and I just thought they were exceptional filmmakers.
Yeah.
They did a film, I Love You, Philip Morris, as well. So I'm kind of like, I'm curious to see what they do.
Nice. Also, a film called Green Room.
Oh yeah, Blue Ruin. John Salin. I've forgotten his name. Salazar, I think his name.
Salazar.
Yeah, and I've met him, and I think we're actually friends on Facebook. So I wouldn't say we're friends,
of course.
though.
You're internet friends.
We know some of the same people.
It's punks versus neo-Nazis
with
fucking Sir Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Man.
And go check out Blue Ruin, because Blue Ruin is a really good example of micro budget filmmaking that is extraordinary.
Yeah. Let's see, before I just hit lightning round, Suicide Squad back in the DC train.
Yeah, kind of. I like that first trailer.
If there's one hope I have for the DC cinematic universe, it's Suicide Squad.
Right.
And I think it comes from DC's strength in its media department, in its visual moving motion picture department, is taking their smaller characters and developing shit around it. And even I know Harley Quinn's not a small character, but like it's I don't know. The casting seems great there. And I hope it lives up to its name, and I hope it can really fucking kill it out there.
Yeah, no, I kind of like the looks of this. Like I'm curious to see these films, like Batman v Superman and this. And
that one is. Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
I have just 3 more. I'm going to lightning round if you're done.
Yeah. Good.
So Rogue One, obviously, I'm interested in. We've talked enough about Star Wars to just sort of. I like the idea of.
And is that one going to be directed by Gareth Edwards?
I believe so.
Curious to see what he does.
I'm also curious to see Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Okay.
I love Cumberbatch, and I think he is the perfect choice for Stephen Strange. And I'm interested to see if Marvel, in my eyes, has been able to pull off its main weird characters well. There's no one weirder than Doctor fucking Strange. Like, it's magic now. We're going to be dealing with magic, and we touched on magic a little bit in Thor and that sort of shit, but that's still gods and things, which I feel like magic is more easily. I don't know. It's just more easily digestible. But we're throwing now mysticism into the Marvel universe, which has been up to this point all sci-fi.
Yeah.
Anyway,
moving on.
And actually, the main thing I am looking forward to is Civil War, baby.
Don't care.
Yeah, that's your problem.
Yeah. I've even watched the Captain America trailer, and I'm like,
gonna be fucking bananas, and I cannot wait to see how they adapt some people call it a clusterfuck. It's one of the things that got me back into comics back in the day, was reading that.
Right.
Because I go through phases. But
I watched that trailer and just thought, well, this is going to be more of the same.
I disagree entirely. I think it's going to be really fun, and it's going to tear the Avengers sort of lineup apart, and then give it a nice sort of jumping off point for shit to quadruple hit the fan in Infinity War. Anyway,
I'm doing my smuggest, like, I don't give a shit look.
Hey, you keep doing you and not enjoying things that are entertaining and joyful, and I'll keep smiling and laughing and having a good time and pretending to be Iron Man at the movies. Yeah, so that's the sort of things I'm looking forward to in 2016. I think that does it for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, nothing different on the list there. Knight of Cups and The Witch were the kind of the two things. Batman v Superman. So
Yeah, right.
Sure.
Well, guys,
there'll be plenty more that comes out that we won't even know about. You know, we'll have to look at this episode as a time capsule and come back and see how we did.
Jesus. Well, this has been the only podcast where we pat ourselves on the back about the films we reviewed and the things that we like.
Tell us what you like.
Yeah, tell us. Email us in.
We'd love to have suggestions for movies as well.
That's the other thing, too. If there's a film that you're wondering about and you don't want to spend your hard-earned money, email us and we'll go spend our hard-earned money and tell you if it's worthwhile.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really fun. I just keep the conversation open, people, because it is such a joy to actually discuss things with people that like or dislike the same things that we're talking about.
Yay!
Guys, actually, Shahir, we've been doing a lot of plugging for the show, but where can people find you?
Last plug, www.shahirdaud.com, SHAHIRDAUD.com, where you can see all my work, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff's there.
That's not the last plug because I'm going to plug me, you motherfucker. MatthewKroll.com, KROL.com, where you can see all my work and all that nonsense. Skeletor, the number 4, PREZ on Instagram, and Emperor MSK on Twitter. Also, guys, last thing we'll ask of you this for the first time in 2016. Please, if you enjoyed this podcast, hell, if you don't enjoy this podcast, on iTunes, please rate us. Write a little blurb review and rate us. 5 stars would be preferable, but, go with what your heart feels.
Yeah.
Follow your heart. It does. It helps us sort of get the word out and continue on doing the stuff that hopefully you like. Shahir, thank you for a wonderful year.
Here's to a big 2016.
Here's to a big 2016. And guys, we'll see you next time for the first actual review of the year. It's exciting.
The only podcast about movies. Can I sing a song?
No.
I'm just going to be quiet. For once. Now.
I hate you.